All right, welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive.
Great to be here.
Today, we are really plunging headfirst into, well, a massive one, Grand Theft Auto 6.
Yeah, the anticipation is just off the charts, isn't it? And has been for years.
Totally. And things have been kind of wild lately. We had that news about the delay, which was a bit of a downer.
Definitely. But then, almost right after, bam, the second trailer drops.
Exactly. Kind of out of nowhere. And not just the trailer, but Rockstar unloaded a bunch of official info too, right, on the website?
Yeah, like proper character details, new screenshots to pick apart, even breakdowns of locations in this new world they're building. It's a lot to digest.
It really is. And that's basically our mission today. We've got this stack of sources, specifically looking at analysis that's reacting to that second trailer, reacting to the official website stuff. And we want to, sift through it, pull out the key takeaways.
And crucially, figure out what's actually confirmed by Rockstar versus what's, well, just speculation or based on leaks, at least according to these sources we're looking at.
Right. We want to map out the speculation framework as it looks right now, based only on these materials.
So it's not really about us predicting things ourselves. It's more about understanding what the analysts and the community are saying based on these official releases and reported leaks.
Yeah, what are the sources predicting? What mechanics are they analyzing from the trailer footage? What are they expecting?
Because they're not just reporting, they're like connecting dots, looking at Rockstar's history, figuring out what GTA 6 might be.
Absolutely. So the sources we're digging into cover, well, the trailer reactions, potential gameplay hints, the official announcements, and even predictions about stuff like system requirements and price.
Based on the game's apparent scale and, past Rockstar launches.
And just to be super clear, if it's not in these specific sources we're analyzing today, we're not going to talk about it, sticking strictly to the script, so to speak.
Think of it like we're guiding you through this latest wave of intel, separating the official stuff from the informed guesswork by looking at the guesswork itself in these sources.
Okay, let's do it. Let's unpack this. First things first, we got to start with the most solid piece of info, the one thing that's undeniable from recent announcements reported everywhere in our sources.
The launch date, finally.
The big one. This puts an end to so much waiting and guessing, at least for some platforms.
Yeah, it really is the anchor point now. According to the official Rockstar announcements, as reported in these sources, the date they set for Grand Theft Auto the 6th is May 26, 2026.
May 26th, 2026. Wow, a specific date. Feels good to have that.
It does.
And the sources are careful to point out this date is specifically for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series XS console.
Right, that's key. The console date. And the sources frame this announcement as huge because, quote, it puts an end to years of rumors and anticipation.
Gives everyone something concrete.
Yeah, and the sources see this as paving the way for what they're calling one of the most monumental game launches ever. It's a big statement, but probably accurate given the hype.
No kidding. It's definitely a stake in the ground after, well, a very long time.
Huge fan expectation, yeah.
But there's always a but, isn't there? Our sources also highlight what's missing from this picture.
The PC release date. Or even a timeline.
Still nothing official on that front from Rockstar, according to these reports.
Which, immediately kicks off more speculation, especially for PC players. It kind of mirrors what happened with GTA V, right?
Yeah, the staggered release, consoles first, then PC quite a bit later.
So console players circle May 2026.
Yeah.
PC players. Still kind of waiting in the wings. It leaves a big question mark open for future announcements. Or leaks.
And speaking of GTA V, the sources touch on the just massive legacy GTA 6 has to follow.
Oh, yeah. GTA V isn't just successful. The sources note it's the second highest selling video game in history, which is just mind-boggling.
And it's still got this huge active player base, mostly because of GTA Online, right?
Absolutely. GTA Online just keeps going. So that legacy, that success, it sets an unbelievably high bar for GTA 6.
It's not just a sequel. It's following a cultural phenomenon.
In a money-making machine. The expectations for scale, depth, online staying power, they're enormous. May 2026 tells console players Rockstar thinks they're close to meeting them.
Okay, so date locked for consoles. Let's move to who we'll be playing as and where. The official info and trailer analysis in our sources give us confirmations here too.
Yep. Confirmed protagonists, Lucia Caminos and Jason Duval.
Lucia and Jason. Clearly the dual focus for this next chapter.
Definitely positioned that way in the trailers and official character info that the sources
And
dissect.
the setting. We're going back to, well, not quite Vice City, but close.
The state of Leonida, that's the confirmed name.
Leonida, and the sources explicitly note this is loosely modeled after Florida.
Right. So bringing the series back toward that Vice City vibe, but massively expanded. The sources emphasize it's a whole state, not just one city.
Which implies a much bigger, maybe more varied map than ever before.
Seems likely. The official website details, broken down by the sources, show different kinds of areas within Leonida hinting at that scale. Swamps, beaches, cities.
Okay, so console date, check. Characters, check. Setting, check. What about the story? What's the hook? Our sources are pulling clues from that second trailer, mainly.
Yeah, the analysis and sources suggest the main narrative thrust seems to be about the aftermath of a failed heist.
A failed heist. Okay, classic GTA, but focusing on the aftermath. That sounds interesting.
It suggests maybe less focus on the planning and execution and more on the consequences, the fallout, how Lucia and Jason deal with things going wrong.
Puts them on the back foot from the start, maybe?
That's the vibe the sources get. They describe the world as this expansive criminal underworld full of danger and unpredictability, which is standard GTA fare. But placing Jason and Lucia right into the chaos after something bad happened implies they're immediately scrambling, surviving.
And the sources really emphasize their relationship in all this, don't they?
Hugely. The trailer analysis highlights how Jason and Lucia must lean on one another as they navigate the chaos and fight for survival.
So it's not just two separate stories running parallel. They're intertwined. Codependent, maybe.
That's the strong suggestion from the source's reading of the trailer. Their bond, whether it's romantic, criminal, or both, seems absolutely central to how they survive whatever this failed heist triggered.
Their relationship is the engine, perhaps, not just background color.
That's what the analysis points towards. It seems integral to the plot hinted at.
Okay, so that's the official picture painted by the sources. Console date, characters, setting, basic story direction. Now, let's get into the juicy stuff. The speculation. What are the leaks and the deeper trailer analysis predicting about how the game will play?
Right. This is where the interpretations and the reported leaks really come into play. And that second trailer specifically seems to have really fueled speculation about the protagonists and how the relationship affects gameplay.
Yeah, sources noted that trailer 2 put a big spotlight on Jason, didn't it? After the first one focused more on Lucia.
Exactly. It seemed like a deliberate move to balance them out, suggesting equal importance in the game itself, not just the marketing.
Makes sense.
And beyond just showing them, the sources stress how trailer 2 did well to showcase the relationship itself. Scenes of them interacting, they're dynamic.
And here's a key detail the analysis jumps on. The trailer apparently went out of its way to show the shared living situation, like their home.
Yeah, they're explicitly shown sharing a private space, a home. And this detail is seen by the source analysts as potentially huge.
Why? Just because they live together?
Well, the argument is this could make their homes more important from a gameplay and narrative perspective compared to what fans have seen before.
More than just a save point or a place to change clothes.
Exactly. The sources speculate it could be a much more central hub, deeply tied into the experience because of their shared life there.
Okay, that ties perfectly into the next big chunk of speculation. Reported leaks about actual gameplay modes. How you might control Lucia and Jason.
Yes, the sources mention specific leaks that suggest 3 distinct gameplay styles are planned for GTA 6.
3 styles. Okay, let's break those down. Based only on what the source leaks claim, this sounds like potentially more than just GTA V's character switching.
Well, the first 2 sound familiar. The leaks suggest you can control Jason individually, playing solely as Jason.
Right.
And you can control Lucia individually, playing solely as Lucia. So, yeah, seems like the standard character swapping we had in GTA V single player.
Okay, expected. But number 3, the unique dual mode. That sounds new.
That's the one grabbing attention. According to these leaks reported in the sources, this dual mode lets both characters operate simultaneously during missions and large-scale heists across the open world.
Whoa, okay. Simultaneously. Not just switching between them quickly, but actually having them both active at the same time.
That's the implication from the sources relaying the leak. Operate simultaneously.
Sure.
If that's accurate, that's a fundamental shift.
Huge shift. How might that even work? The sources speculate on that.
They present it as a major potential game changer. Think about it. Instead of switching from Franklin sniping to Trevor flying, maybe you're, actively directing Jason moving through a building while simultaneously telling Lucia where to position herself for covering fire. or one drives while the other shoots, but you're managing both actions concurrently.
Right, so not just swapping perspectives, but managing a team in real time.
Exactly. If Jason is breaching a door, maybe you're also setting Lucia up with the getaway car down the street at the same time, without having to pause Jason's action.
That adds a whole layer of tactical depth we haven't really seen in GTA single player before. It's always been about controlling one perspective at a time.
Precisely. The sources highlight this leaked dual mode. If it pans out, could be a defining feature, especially for those big heists. It demands a different kind of planning, a different kind of execution.
Managing two characters' actions concurrently, that's a big leap from sequential switching.
A potentially huge leap.
Yeah.
And it feels, kind of connected to having two protagonists whose relationship is supposedly so central, a mechanical reflection of their partnership.
Very cool potential feature, if the leak is real. Okay, let's transition from that leak to another major area of speculation the sources build a strong case for, connecting back to that shared living space we mentioned.
Home customization.
Yeah, the sources dedicate a lot of analysis to this, arguing it could be way more significant in GTA 6.
And they acknowledge, home customization isn't the main thing you think of with GTA. It's usually cars, guns, chaos.
Right, it's often felt a bit secondary.
But the sources trace its history. Like GTA V single player had just a small range of single player safe houses.
Yeah.
Pretty basic, functional.
Change clothes, save game, maybe store a car. That was about it.
But then GTA Online came along. The sources point out it massively expanded customization everywhere. Characters, cars, and definitely properties. A huge range of abodes.
Apartments, penthouses, bunkers, clubhouses.
Yeah.
Online went big on property.
And crucially, the sources highlight that in Online, you can even renovate certain apartments. Add a level of internal customization. Change layouts, styles, furniture within limits.
Okay, so there's a precedent within the franchise for deeper home customization, just mostly online so far.
Exactly. So the core argument from the sources, building on that history and the GTA 6 focus on Jason and Lucia sharing a home, is that GTA 6 is in a prime position to take home customization to the next level.
Yeah.
Especially in single player.
Moving beyond GTA V's limited single-player options.
Yeah, they argued the whole setup almost demands it. That bold step back to two protagonists and their apparent romantic relationship. The sources say this could lean directly into these improvements.
Because their shared home isn't just a backdrop, it has narrative weight.
That's the idea. If the story emphasizes their shared life, their home becomes a meaningful space. And the sources argue this increased importance necessitates better customization.
How do they elaborate on that importance?
They draw a really interesting comparison, suggesting the homes could function with a similar narrative purpose to Red Dead Redemption 2's camps.
Ah, okay. That makes sense. The RDR2 camp felt alive, right? A place for interaction, finding missions, character moments between the big story beats.
Precisely. The sources picture Jason and Lucia's home, potentially serving as unique hubs for interaction in a more relaxed setting. A place for unique interactions, missions, and dialogue that might otherwise be missable out in the world.
Like the camp in Red Dead 2, it could be where the relationship develops, where you see them interact more naturally, maybe get unique side quests or conversations based on how things are going.
Yeah, a living space that reflects their situation and relationship.
Right.
If the home has that much narrative and gameplay significance,
Then it logically follows that players should be able to customize it, right? To make it feel like their version of Jason and Lucia's space.
exactly. The sources make that direct link.
Yeah.
Increased importance should then be echoed through customization. Give players a reason to invest their in-game money and time into this central location.
So what kind of customization are we talking about, according to these predictions? What might players spend their cash on?
The sources predict the basics. Things like furniture, electronics, and decoration. Stuff to change the look and feel of the rooms.
Standard stuff. But they also mentioned something more intriguing.
Yeah, the possibility that certain changes opening up unique interactions.
Customization with gameplay effects.
Potentially. Like maybe buying a better TV unlocks a new minigame, or installing a specific piece of furniture triggers a unique dialogue scene between Jason and Lucia. It gives the choices more weight than just pure aesthetics.
That would be cool. But what about the level of detail? Are we talking like full Sims level placing every object?
The sources think probably not. They suggest a full customization system akin to The Sims might clash with things like cutscenes.
Right. You need the environment to be consistent for scripted sequences.
Right.
Can't have a player-placed sofa blocking where Lucia needs to stand in a cutscene.
Exactly. Development nightmare. So the prediction isn't for that level of granularity, However,
However,
the sources suggest players should, at the very least, be given the opportunity to customize the overall style of each room.
okay, so maybe less placing individual lamps, more choosing themes, like a modern style, a retro style, a rundown style for the living room, and buying furniture sets that fit.
That seems to be the level predicted, choosing overall aesthetics, color palettes, maybe some key furniture pieces within predefined layouts rather than free-form building. Enough to personalize, but not enough to break the game structure.
Got it. So, summing up this whole customization speculation, the sources argue that because the second trailer really leaned into the importance of Jason and Lucia's shared home,
It gives Rockstar the perfect inspiration to finally take the franchise's customization options to the next level in single player, really building on what GTA Online started and tying it directly into the core narrative experience.
it's presented as a really logical evolution, almost necessary given the story's apparent focus.
Makes a lot of sense, yeah.
Okay, fascinating stuff. So we've hit the confirmed details, the leaked dual mode potential, the deep dive into home customization speculation. Let's shift to the practical side now. Hardware and money. What are the sources predicting players might need or have to spend?
Right. These are definitely in the prediction category based on the game's anticipated scope and fidelity. Not official info yet, but educated guesses from the analysts cited in our sources.
Good disclaimer. So first up, expected PC system requirements. What kind of rig are the sources predicting PC players might need for a smooth experience whenever GTA 6 eventually lands on PC?
Well, the overall prediction is that gamers will likely require a high-end system for smooth performance. No big surprise there, given the visuals in the trailers.
Fair enough. Do they get specific with components, like CPU?
Yeah, the predictions mentioned in the sources point towards something like an Intel Core i7-8700K or an AMD Ryzen 7 3700X. Solid CPUs suggests a decent amount of processing grunt needed.
Okay. And the all-important GPU graphics card.
The prediction pegs it around a GeForce GTX 1080 Ti or a Radeon RX 5700 XT. Again, these were high-end cards a few years back, still quite capable.
So maybe not bleeding edge required for baseline acceptable performance, but still pretty hefty.
That seems to be the implication of these predictions. Obviously, newer cards would do better, but that's the sort of tier they're anticipating as maybe a recommended spec.
What about RAM? How much memory?
The sources anticipate a minimum of 8 GB.
Just 8 GB minimum. Seems kind of low for a game this potentially massive.
It does feel like a floor, yeah. Most analysts would probably say 16 GB is safer for modern open-world games.
Yeah.
But the sources specifically mention a minimum of 8 GB is anticipated.
Okay. And storage. This one's going to be big.
Oh, yeah. The prediction is at least 150 gigabyte of available disk space.
150 gigs. Wow. That's a lot.
It is. Way bigger than GTA V, even with all its updates. It really speaks to the projected scale of Leonida and the level of detail expected. Huge amount of data.
So, PC gamers listening, that's the heads up from these predictions. Not official specs, but something to keep in mind for potential upgrades down the line.
Exactly. A benchmark to consider based on current analysis.
All right, last piece. Money. The expected price. AAA games are hitting new price points. What are the sources predicting for GTA 6?
Again, these are expected prices based on trends and the game's profile.
Got it. Any specific market examples given?
Yeah. One source mentions the Indian market, predicting the base game price at approximately Rs 5,999.
Okay. Which translates to, roughly, 75 US dollars, depending on the exchange rate.
Pretty much bang on the current standard $7 price for major new AAA releases in the US and other regions.
So, seems likely it'll follow that new standard. What about fancier editions? Deluxe, collectors.
The prediction there, using the Indian market example again, is prices starting from Rs 7,299 and going up. So tier pricing for extra digital goodies or physical collectibles, which is standard practice.
And internationally, any mention of a potential ceiling?
The sources float the idea that internationally, maybe for top-tier collector's editions, the price could go as high as $100.
$100. Wow.
Which they note is about Rs 9,000. That's likely for a very premium package, not the standard edition, but it shows the perceived value and massive budget behind this game.
Yeah, reinforces that this is expected to be a premium priced product, reflecting the investment and anticipation.
Definitely. So again, just expectations for budgeting purposes, but useful ones, reflecting its status as probably the biggest upcoming AAA release.
Okay, man, we have covered a ton of ground here, pulling directly from these sources. Let's recap quickly. We've got the confirmed stuff. Console release date, May 26, 2026.
Yep, characters Lucia and Jason. the state of Leonida setting based on Florida.
And that basic story hook, the aftermath of a failed heist driving their intertwined narrative.
Then we dove deep into the speculation framework built from trailer analysis and reported leaks.
Right, exploring those possible gameplay modes, individual control, but also that potentially game-changing dual control mode.
Unpacking that detailed argument for way deeper home customization, tying it to the protagonist's shared life, and the potential for Red Dead 2-style narrative hubs.
And finally, outlining those practical predictions. Expected PC specs needing a fairly high-end system and a price point likely starting at the current $70 AAA standard, potentially going higher for premium editions.
It's a real mix, isn't it? Solid facts from Rockstar, interpretations of visual hints, whispers of leaks, and educated guesses on the practical stuff. All filtered through the analysis in these source materials we focused on.
Exactly. The goal was to understand the current state of play, what's known, what's rumored, what's predicted, based only on this recent wave of info and analysis. Hopefully this helps you feel a bit more informed about where the conversation is right now.
Yeah, it helps you engage with it all more critically as inevitably more news and speculation comes out between now and, well, May 2026.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with a final thought to chew on, something pulled directly from maybe the most intriguing piece of speculation we discussed today.
That dual mode leak.
Exactly. Considering that leak, reported in our sources, about potentially controlling Jason and Lucia simultaneously during missions and heists, what's one big way you think that could fundamentally change the actual feeling of playing GTA? Not just the mechanics, but the moment-to-moment vibe of being in that open world.
Yeah, forget just pressing a different button. How does managing two people at once change how you feel navigating Leonida? Does it make simple travel different? Does it change the pacing of random chaos? How does simultaneous operation really alter that core GTA experience?
Something to think about. Keep exploring, keep questioning the info you see, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.
See you then.